I'm going to use my Mod Podge again, the little cup, 2 little scraps of fabric. They're in fall colors, and then I have 2 pumpkins that originally came from the Target's Dollar Spot or the Bullseye's Playground, whatever it's called, but these were actually thrifted. They're little chunky pumpkins, but you can use whatever you find. Hey, if you want to show me some love, you can buy me a coffee. See the link in the description box below. Okay, so take that Mod Podge. We're just going to put it all over the top of that pumpkin. Then I'm going to lay down my floral fabric. I think this is very cottagecore fabric. It is very 70s funky. Yes. Going to add a little extra for the stem. The other pumpkin, I decided to add some of that same oatmeal chalk paint all the way around the edges that were black, just to give it a different look, give you a different idea of how you can do it. You can get pumpkin forms anywhere. You can definitely get them at the Dollar Tree if your tree, if your Dollar Tree carries them. And you can use the ones that are thinner. They don't have to be chunky and thick like these. This is just what I had, so I'm just going to show you. Like I've said before, this is for inspiration. So I'm just smoothing it down. And then you'll want to put your second coat on there. You're going to seal it in. You're going to make this kind of tough. So I'm going all the way around the edges and extending past the edges as well. If you want a more crisp look, go ahead and paint the front of your pumpkin white, and that'll really show a lot better. But I like the muted look on this. So now this fabric with the Mod Podge is pretty thick, and it's easy to cut with a knife if you know what you're doing, and obviously I am still learning. But you go around it with your little knife. Mine came from the Dollar Tree. Or you can use some scissors, and these are just cuticle scissors that I use for my little fussy cuts. Go around it like this and take your stuff off. Use regular scissors, use whatever works for you. The idea is to remove the excess. Then I'm going to take a coarse grit sandpaper and just rub the edges smooth. You can see what I'm doing here. You can use an emery board for this as well. You can use your sanding block. Now we're going to do a little embellishment. I think these cute little rustic cottagey pumpkins could use a bow. What do you think? You certainly don't have to put a bow on there. You could do leaves or something like that, but I think little simple bows would do the trick. Sometimes you just need projects that are a little bit simpler looking when you have a lot of florals and other things that get a lot of attention. You don't want too much going on necessarily. I mean, for me anyway. I mean, you do you. However you like it, then that's what you want to do. What brings me joy is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to inspire you to do what brings you joy. So here we go. Our pumpkins are completely dry now, remember that. Adding some hot glue, and we're going to put our long stringy bows on there. I got cotton and jute and a little bit of orange jute. I think I thrifted the orange, but the other ones came from Dollar Tree. So they have twinsy bows. Very, very simple. It's an easy little project, and these would be so adorable to put on maybe a tiered tray or at your coffee station. It would be really cute. You could even print off some words, or if you have a Cricut, put some words on there. That's right, shabby chic. Farmhouse. I'm going to start off with this Dollar General pumpkin that I got at the thrift store. I know it's Dollar General because the tag is something I'm very familiar with. I'm going to take off my leaves. I'm going to stretch out the little tendril here, give it some legs, let him move around, and see how easy it is to remove these embellishments. I'm going to take my thankful sign off. And don't worry, I have another one of these that hasn't been worked on yet. We're going to do it in another project. I'm going to use some spray paint and change the color. I've used some craft spray paint here in a tan color. And just spray it down there. I put one good coat. It didn't even take 2 coats, and did the front and back and the base. I'm trying to decide now what we're going to do to make this one special. So I'm thankful, and here we go. I'm going to put thankful on here. I'm going to use this thrifted ribbon. It is wired ribbon. It's pretty wide. It's 2.5 inch, I believe. I'm going to take some scraps of greenery and these little flowers that I got at the thrift store. And this little rose from the thrift store. And then this is my little Monvict glue gun that I'm trying, and I love it. I will leave the link in the description for you. I'm very happy with it. So you can see here what I am doing with this. Little note about the glue gun. I am a Amazon affiliate, so I do make a little money, but it doesn't cost you anything else if you use my link. So I always put the link down in the description box. If there's anything that you're interested in and I mention it, you can find it down there. I had someone reach out to me about this glue gun to try it. I've worked with this company before on a different glue gun. This one is majorly improved. This gun I have no complaints about. It has 2 different temperatures on it, and I'm using the cooler temperature for these. That's why you see me touching it and I'm not burning myself. It does not drip at all, which amazes me to be a big full-size glue gun like that. It has the big glue sticks. It actually comes with 3 finger protectors, and they work very nicely, even though I'm not wearing them because it's on cool temp. I didn't need it. And it came with a big pack of glue. So yeah, very happy with that. Okay, so then here we go with the thankful sign. You can see here the tip of this glue gun. I can get right in those small spots. And that's where I want the glue, because I don't want it pressing out from underneath the sign. I don't want to see glue all over the place. I'm able to get that big glue gun under the tips of these words so that none of my glue is showing, and not one bit came out. It was perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna take this greenery. And guys, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want you to know if I see something that I'm really pleased with, if the price is right, I'm going to share it with you. So I hope that doesn't bother anybody. I'm not a sellout or anything. I don't have bad motives or anything. Yeah, I just like to share things with you. All right, so a little glue on the back, a little glue on the front. It's going to hold those leaves in place. And I love the color of the leaves. I think they're perfect for this project. Kind of a neutral green. I think it's kind of something that would match into a lot of decor, and I think it looks okay too for the farmhouse decor. And it's simple, like the sign itself. And we're gonna decide where we want to add our little flowers up here. And this looks good. I'm going to cover up those original holes because I thought at one point I might put a bow back on top, but then I decided no, I think the flowers will be enough. So this little arrangement on the top is going to be the perfect thing. Yes. I like that. I like it a lot. Do you like this one? I want to show you how to make a tendril in case your pumpkin does not have one on the top like mine has. You're going to take some wire jute like I have here. I'm just twisting it down. You're going to add glue to the ends where it's coming apart. There's my little finger protectors. So you're going to add some glue to the end, and you're going to take your fingers and twist in the way that it is already going. So whatever direction it is wound in, you want to twist in that same direction. This is going to seal that jute off, glue it down to the wire so that it doesn't fray. You can see me do that on both ends. You can see it's nice and clean now, exactly how it needs to be. Before it was messy and coming undone, and I promise you when you cut it, it's going to fray away from the wire. But don't let that intimidate you, because I'm showing you now how you can fix that, because these are so great for these fall projects when you're using pumpkins, and they're really good for wreaths or anything that you want to use. You can take a pencil or a pen or anything that is kind of cylindrical, and then you just bend it around there and bend your edges, and that's how you make your little tendril. Then you would want to put it, you know, toward the back or however you want to do it on your pumpkin. The top, the back, something like that. Okay, so that is this one. You're going to need a Dollar Tree jack-o'-lantern here. He's just made with tinsel. We're going to peel off his paper face And then we're going to begin to remove all of this tinsel. It is wound and it is a kind of a pain to get all of this stuff off, but I think it's worth it. Just going to clip the pieces and then pull it loose. You can save some of this tinsel if you want to use it for another project for, I don't know, next year, or perhaps use it on your Christmas or your Halloween tree for this year. So there are ways that you can maintain some of this, but if not, just cut it and pull it off of there. We're going to start with a blank canvas. What you're left with is that little frame. I'm going to take a burlap bag that I got from the thrift store and just cut out a piece. Make sure it's the right size for my pumpkin. Then I'm just going to begin to wrap it to get an idea where it needs to be. Just using my clamps from Dollar Tree to hold those little pieces in place before I trim off the excess. You want to be sure you have enough that overlaps so that you can glue that to the frame. Because burlap is kind of a slightly stiff, I guess you could say, using the clamps will help hold that in place to keep it from trying to roll back up and pick back up off that frame. And just hold it in place for a few minutes and then it'll be all set and you're good to go. So here is your pumpkin. Now you're going to take a variety of ribbon. These came from Dollar Tree. This particular one is pretty heavily wired and it has some hollow spots. It does not want to lay flat, so it makes the perfect ribbon for this project. Just going to take some hot glue and allow it to do its thing, kind of curving there, to mimic the curves of a pumpkin. This is neutral, so to me this is perfect for Farmhouse, and I think it would look great for Thanksgiving. I'm going to go up here, and I was just feeling with my fingers to see where the original ridge is because I want to put it on that high spot, that higher ridge. But you can do it any way you want to. So there we go again, curving. Be sure to be careful. This particular ribbon has a bunch of little hollow spots or holes in it. So you want to be sure that you're protecting your fingers when you are using hot glue. Just trim off the excess. And one more piece of this ribbon down the center. And again, each one of these ribbons are on the high parts of that wreath form. You can see there the ridges. Okay, and so I'm going to start wrapping to get an idea of what I want to do for my stem. You can use jute cord. This is cotton cord from Dollar Tree that I chose to use because it matches the lighter color in that ribbon that I just used. But you can use any type of ribbon, you can use the nautical rope, you can use regular jute, whatever you choose on that stem. You could even wrap it with fabric if you wanted to. Okay, so in order to keep this from sliding off the end, I'm just going to use a little bit of glue to hold that end piece down. And that's just a little rubber spatula. If you don't use glue along the way, you didn't get to see that when I was wrapping it, but if you don't use some glue along the way, it's going to try to slide off of that plastic, so just be sure that you do that. Here's another ribbon that I chose from Dollar Tree. This is really cute. This is going to look good for Christmas too, I think. Put that in the center of the other ones. So now my pumpkin has all of its little stripes. Now I think a bow would be perfect. And I'm going to go with this. This is so simple. You've seen me make this in other videos. You're just going to make a loop and then glue the end down. You're going to have one loop that is bigger than the other loop. And there will be two pieces, and then you'll make a separate tail for that. Also, I've made a shoelace bow over there with my coordinating ribbon. And I have it ready to go right on top. Alright, so since I'm using a strip of burlap rather than ribbon to do this, there are lots of holes in burlap. if you press this down onto itself, it's going to glue flat. So you don't want to do that. You can see me putting some glue on there, rolling it over, putting my spatula under it, and then patting that down. Be sure you use your little fingertip protectors. Don't do it like I just did. Okay, so we're going to put the smaller one on top of the larger loop. And then I'm just going to get the right size for my shoelace bow. I want it to be, its loops to be a little bit smaller than what we already have there, because I want each one to, it's going to be stacked. I want each little layer to show. So the bottom layer is the longest, and then the next layer, and then I'm just, okay, so now I know what I want. I'm going to take just a piece of jute and I'm going to tie a double knot right in the center of these little burlap circles. That I'm going to make sure that you have enough burlap that you can tie that around the stem. And now all I'm doing is taking another piece of the burlap scrap there. All of that came from that same bag. And just folding it in the center with a little gap in between so that both of my little pieces of the tails will show. And I'm going to tie that first one on. You could leave it if you just wanted that one on there. You could certainly do that. I'm pulling down the tails on this bow to make sure that it is small enough, see there, to go right in the middle. I don't want it to overwhelm what's behind it. I want it to be stacked. Just going to use a laundry clamp that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut a slight angle in that ribbon. Now we're going to make the little curly stem that sticks up from the pumpkins. You know, the little tendrils that come off of a pumpkin. So when you cut this wired jute that I got from Dollar Tree, of course, when you cut it, it'll start to come loose from the wire. So if you take a dot of glue and your fingertip protectors and you twist that in the way that it is already wound on that wire, it'll seal the ends so you don't have to worry about it unraveling. So I'm just going to take a length of this, and I probably took about maybe 7 inches of that, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. I'm going to put a little glue right down in that fray against the wire and then twist it in the direction that it's already wound, and I'm just twisting it with my fingers. And now both of my ends are sealed and it won't come loose. If you don't, you're going to have a mess. It's going to come loose on you for certain. I'm going to take this pin and just wind this around here. You can use a pin, you can use a dowel, you can use the end of your scissors or pliers, whatever you want to do to shape that, and then find a little place behind the bow to tuck it and glue it in. And then once you do that, your pumpkin is finished. If you want to hang it, you can hang it from the little pieces in the back where it's wired. You can hang it from the string that you have there, or you can just prop it up against the wall or against, you know, any surface that you want. And you have the perfect farmhouse Thanksgiving decoration piece. It's nice. I strayed away from my normal rustic coloring to show you how to do this in a neutral farmhouse version. Big cat print, it's leopard or cheetah, whichever one. I'm going to take this little pumpkin from Dollar Tree, pull that off. I think I'm going to use the side with the print on it, cover that up, and I'll still have the back as a plain color. So I'm just going to take this folder. You can use paper, construction paper, you can use crafting paper, wrapping paper, whatever you want with whatever print. Since this is on trend, I thought we would give this one a shot. I cut a little bit to the inside of the line to make sure that I get a good fit on the front. And I'm just going to fold down that lip there from the folder and cut that off. Okay, so because I don't want my edges or the sides where I might have missed it a little bit, I don't want it to show, so I've got my choice of 2 brown paints here. And I don't need to waste paint, so I'm just going to go around the edges here so it won't show if I made a miscut. And then all around just the edges of the pumpkin on the sides. I did do 2 coats of these, and I used a hair dryer to help facilitate the drying process. But you can just set it aside and make sure that you let it dry before you go any further. Trying to be careful to leave that back solid orange, because at some point I might want to do a little something different on the back side. Alright, we're back and it's all dry, and you can see that it dried a little bit darker. And then I'm going to take my glue gun with my Gorilla Glue sticks and go around the edges, but not so close that it squishes out. We want it to have a nice finished look. You know me by now, I like to take things apart and repurpose them, so I don't want to have a mess to have to tear off at some point later. So I've taken a Dollar Tree leaf and then a scrap leaf that I already had. I trimmed the one that's already down, I trimmed it up a little bit, and then I'm just going to trim this one up as well. And I have decided that I want to make the little tendril that comes off the pumpkins, the little twirlies, which I have already done, and I'm going to glue that to the stem. Now I got to get the right placement for these leaves. You can do it any way you want to. If you want to stand it up and put them on the top sides, you can do that. Just adding this little bow back on there because it needed a little extra love. So I'm going to take this thick yarn that I have. You can use rope of any sort, twine of any sort, but I like this. I got it at Goodwill. I'm going to dismantle this pumpkin, take the stem off, take the little bag that is around it. Essentially, it's a little bag. Let's save that for something else. Then I'm going to make the hole in the top of the pumpkin a little bit deeper so that I can fit the knot of the string down there. You'll see it gives it a good starting point. This is a simple process. It takes a lot of glue and a little bit of time. Watch your fingers because you can burn yourself very easily. Alright, so I'm going to start off with a knot down in there. Then I'm just reloading my glue stick to my pitiful looking glue gun. And we're going to start in a spiral motion, going around. Now you'll notice when I twist this, I also twist the rope, the yarn in the direction that it is wound, because if you don't, it'll come unwound. You can see that there. When I don't twist it, it tries to come out of its shape. So I'm going to keep putting the glue down and twisting and pressing. You're going to see a lot of this. Glue, twist, press, and sometimes there are some cussing and some flinching because the glue is really hot. Okay, so when you start getting to the bottom here, you're also going to have to add the glue to that row that's right next to it and then butt it up against there. And see how it wants to start pulling down. So in a second here, I'm going to slow it back down and let you see exactly what I'm doing to get those to stay together. There's another glue stick if you're counting. Okay, so I'm kind of putting the glue on the foam, also on the piece that is next to it. Twisting it like we did before, pressing it down onto the pumpkin and the row that is right before it. If you don't do this, it's going to come unwound. Okay, so we're coming to the end here. A little extra glue, a little more pressing. Then I'm just going to trim it off, twist it a little bit tighter, and make sure that I've got good coverage. And press it down in there. And we're just going to trim off the excess. Yeah, we don't want to cut toward our finger.
now we're just going to choose whatever types of leaves that will fit your decor, whatever you like. Side a little more with rustic, but I'm going a little neutral for you gals who enjoy your neutral decor. You know the routine here. We still have that little bit of an indentation in the top. You're going to just take your hot glue and put it in there, add your leaves to it, whatever type of little stem or extras you want. And that's that. And we'll see you soon. Bye. So here's the old topiary. It did have some leaves on it too, very colorful leaves on it, and I took those off. This is a Dollar Tree bucket with a little piece of foam. And now you just see me dismantling the topiary. I'm going to pull all the little wires and pieces of glue and stuff like that off so I've got a cleaner surface. And then I'm going to choose some paints, and I chose Autumn Brown and I think it's called Pumpkin. I'm just going to mix those two together to get a more neutral shade of orange, I guess, if you can call it that. It won't be as bright as that big pumpkin. It'll be a little more muted or toned down. They look kind of cheapy, but actually they work very well. They load the paint very well. Okay, so what I'm doing is going over this pumpkin, and I'm going to be doing the rest of them as well with a moderate, I guess, coating of paint, and then I will give them a second coat after they dry. It makes it a little bit easier if you put a pick in the bottom. So now I'm going to work on the sign, the pick that's going to hold it all together. And I just got some old stickers from scrapbooking days. I'm surprised they still stick. And then I've got these came from originally the Target. Alrighty, so these are very strongly sticky on the back, but I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of hot glue to make sure they don't come off. And then I've just made a little jute bow, and I'm going to put that in the corner of the frame and set it aside. So here are my pumpkins. This is what I mean by putting them on a pick and then putting them in the foam. I just had them set that way until they dried. Okay, so I'm just going to put some extra pieces of styrofoam that came in other packaging. Just put that down in there and raise that up so the pumpkin doesn't sink down inside. I want it to be kind of level where I'm going to be putting it. So I'm just testing it there to see if it's the right height. And so the pick now will go back through in order. The smallest one will go on top, then the next, then the next, and then the biggest. And there are holes in the top and bottom of each pumpkin that are not directly through the center. So you just go right back through that same direction, and they'll line up just about where they were before. So now you see that they're all uniform color. Now I'm going to use this popsicle stick that I used for the paint, and I'm going to stick it through the foam, put a little glue on the pumpkin, and then put him down on there. Okay, so now we have our base. It's time to start making it look pretty. So I'm going to take this moss and put it all around on there so that we are covering up the foam, and then I'm going to take my scissors and trim up, you know, just any excess that's hanging off of there. Okay, you can see there are little gaps in there because it looks kind of topsy-turvy, which is the look that I wanted. You can put them straight down on each other if you like, but I want them to look like they're kind of stacked up haphazardly, I guess. I like the look. And I'm just going to take my Goodwill picks and start placing my leaves down. Now for me, I like to put the darker color down than a color that's obviously different so that it stands out, and then the lightest color on the top. You can do it any way you want. You can use all leaves of the same color. You could, maybe some lamb's ear would be pretty, or eucalyptus. You could use boxwood if you wanted to. You could do little sunflower picks or mums. You could do little acorns. You could do whatever you like. But I have a stash of things that I've been needing to use, and I think that they look nice together. So we're going to use that so that I can use it in my house. And then I'm just showing you here how to tuck them under, and you definitely want to aim for those spots where there are gaps. They fit nicely in there. Got to keep it balanced, rotate it, turn it, look at the front, back, the sides, the top, the bottom, and make sure that you have an even amount, or fairly even anyway. Balance, we're going for balance. And here is the final pick. Customize this, do it any way that you would like, but go find something at Goodwill. Find something and give it new life.
We're going to start off with one of these little banks from the Dollar Tree, one of these little pumpkin containers, and a little metal sign here. Plus I'm going to be using a pumpkin that came from Dollar Tree last year that I've already DIY'd. Okay, so here are our transfer stickers. I found 4. I was so excited. I hope you can find them. We're going to start off with a little bank. It's got gold glitter on the outside. I'm going to open it, peel out that paper. It comes off really easy, and then take some fingernail polish remover and take the writing right off of it. Really got to get a good amount on that tissue to get it to come off. You You can use a knife and scrape it off if you would rather. Now you just take any type of scrapbook paper that you have. I happen to have some of these little pads that originally came from Target. And I'm going to tear off just a white piece that is embossed with stripes. In order to get the right size, I'm going to flip the backing down onto the top of it and just trace it with my pencil and cut it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, because when you put the back on, you'll have nice crisp edges. I'm going to use my glue stick. I ran out of the purple school glue sticks. Got to get some more while they're still on sale. And then go over that, flip my paper over. I'm just choosing which side I want to use, and then pressing it down. I'm using a wallpaper tool to just flatten it out a little. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want to press the dimension out. Now I've chosen to use this Grateful, Thankful, and Blessed decal for this one. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I know I use that word a lot. I'm just kind of getting an idea of what the center would be. Now you got to hold it still so that it doesn't slide around, and start pressing it down. Now, I want to let you know that it took a lot of elbow grease to get this one on this embossed paper. I edited a lot of that out, but I finally ended up having better luck using the back of my little spatula over there, pressing it down. Take your time when you do it. Okay, so now I'm gonna, see there? Giving it a little check, and it looks good. I'm gonna take some of this pumpkin scented pine cones. They smell delicious. Not like cinnamon, but more like a fall scented candle. I'm gonna open this little bag. This did come from the Dollar Tree, and I've decided I want to make this like a shaker. So I'm gonna take my little pieces out. There's tiny pine cones and little pieces that look like pumpkins in there. And I'm just gonna put those around in the bottom. I'm not just emptying the bag because I don't want all those little pine seeds to go flying all over the place. They get static electricity and they make a mess in there. So you see one of those little seeds fell out. I don't want a bunch of that. I want it to look nice, neat, and high end. So I'm placing those around in there. Yep, they fit. I even have a couple of extra pieces for another project. I'm going to put my back on. Just press it down. See, no need for a perfect cut there. And this is what it looks like so far. I did put the little slot for where you put the money in. I put that on the bottom. Now we're going to use the same tag that came from that little bag. We're just going to cut that little orange strip off and recycle it, and it's going to cover up the hole in the bottom. Use a little hot glue and just put that right down. Now you don't have to worry about it looking unfinished if anybody lifts it up and wants to shake it. There you go. I'm going to do a little more to this project, but I'm liking it so far. What do you think? Okay, so here is some little lace ribbon that came from Dollar Tree. I tried a couple of different bows for this, but finally decided on this one. You're just going to measure about 3 inches down, 2.5 maybe, and flip it over on itself so that when you finish your loops, you have 2 loops on each side. So 2 here and 2 here. You'll need to tie it or use some type of wire, or it's so tiny I wouldn't suggest a zip tie. I wouldn't waste it on that. Or you can use scraps of jute. That's what I do. I save all my little hangers off of previous projects and I put them in a jar, and then when I need them I just pull them out. Plus I have a spool, a big spool of jute that I use in my projects. So now I'm just cutting this off. This is going to be the bow, and then we'll add a separate tail to it. I'm just kind of twisting it around there to make sure that everything is where I need it to be. And then you're just going to take another, I think this is about 8 inches approximately, and we're going to make a tail with that. Just going to add some hot glue. I trimmed off the extra jute. I'm going to make it sort of like a V there, and then glue it down. Protect your fingers. I didn't do it right then. I was in a rush, but protect your fingers. They are precious. Okay, so now I'm just cutting off that little piece that was left on the inside. Use whatever type of bow that you like, but I thought this was cute for this project. This is like a rustic glam kind of project. What do you think? It's got the little lace, and it's got the glitter, and it's gold, so it's kind of glamorous. but it's very rustic with the pieces that we put on the inside. So trim your edges. You can dovetail, do whatever you want. I find with these thin ribbons, it's easier for me to just cut them at a slant, and they still look finished and nice, I think. I don't want these tails to be flopping around, so I am just going to glue them down on the edge of the frame, just like this. And this is almost done. I'm going to take one more of those little mini pine cones, put it right in the middle of my bow. You can put it to the side, you can use a leaf, you could put one of your little pumpkins there if you wanted to. Whatever you choose. Hindsight, I should have picked up some more bags of that. It's really nice to work with. Glues down nicely, and the pine cones are in great condition. They're not shredded at all. Okay, so this is how it looks when it is complete. Isn't that cute? And it all settles back down in the bottom and it smells amazing. Okay, so the next project, we're going to use this little container. I don't know what this is actually. It's too small to be a napkin holder, but you'll see how I use it. I've got an idea for it. So I'm going to lay it down on a piece of paper, trace it out, and I've just chosen some yellow plaid or yellow checked. It's kind of at an angle though. But it's really pretty. It came out another one of those little packs that I've had for a couple of years, originally from Target. You should know if I say I got something from Target, then it came from Dirt Cheap, because their overstock goes there, and I buy it when it's very, very cheap. Righty, so if I can keep it in my hand, we're going to use some glue again. Really simple. This just dries and is less messy in my experience than Mod Podge. I do like Mod Podge on other projects though, but just for this and for time's sake, we're going to use a little glue. Okay, so I'm just using that tool again, and I'm just going to press it down, make sure there's no bubbles, and we want to have a nice, smooth, finished look. Like maybe it came from the manufacturer this way. I always strive for a high-end look. Okay, so I'm going to take my little foam sanding block, also from Dollar Tree, and just go around my edges to make sure that I have a nice, clean edge, and it's going to shear off all the little extras. Now to choose which sticker I want to use for this. I think we'll use this one. Pumpkin spice and everything nice. So cute. I'm going to trim it off so that I can even it up and get it flush where I want it on the bottom. And that looks good. Now without moving your hand, you got to hold it down. You want to just kind of burnish this down. You really want to work on it. And again, I grabbed this tool knowing that I wouldn't have good results. So I do end up going to my spatula, really putting some elbow grease in it. And then you want to do this very slowly. Peel it up very slowly so you don't pull anything off and make a mess. And this is what it looks like so far. I am loving these transfers. They are amazing. So of course I want my little gingham ribbon to be on this pumpkin. I'm mixing my patterns, y'all. Mixing my patterns. I don't mind it with this though, because one is so small and the other's larger. Doesn't bother me at all. I have an aunt who used to say that things would make her dizzy if they were too busy, so hopefully this doesn't bother you. If it does, just use a solid color ribbon. This is just mine. You make yours your own. That's what it's all about. Okay, so I'm just going to glue that right on the stem on the top. Isn't she cute? All right, now I've decided that since the little bottom hasn't been painted or finished here, I'm going to finish it with some ribbon. Some other suggestions: you could use the furniture repair markers. You could use a little bit of paint. You can use a permanent marker to go around your edges if you would like to finish it off. But I think this ribbon looks really cute. What do you think? How would you have done this? And the great thing about this particular project is that we're going to give it two sides. So instead of the 4 projects in this video, there's actually going to be 5. So you get an extra. We're going to have a bonus. Okay, continuing all the way around till we get back to our original spot, and then I'm just going to trim that off neatly, and there we go. And I think that that is really going to be nice. Now, I really love this print when I was looking through here. I think I'm going to try this on the back. So here we go again, same process. We're going to trace it out. We're going to cut it out. Take our glue stick, put it all over here. Don't worry about those little cutouts. You are not going to even know they were there. Take that pumpkin, place it down, rub it on there, then you're going to sand it down. Same thing. Just such a quick project. I'm going to take some of this Dollar Tree ribbon and I'm going to make another bow exactly the same as the other bow, but this one I'm going to place a little bit lower down on the pumpkin instead of putting it up there high on the stem. It's going to be kind of under the stem. Y'all should know this bow by now. Little bunny ear bow. Simple little shoelace or a bunny ear bow. Very easy. And it's great for these projects, especially if you like rustic and farmhouse, simple projects, you know, simple looks. See, this one's going to be a little bit under. So rather than a hair bow, it's a bow tie. How about that? Okay, now, if you want to add a little something extra, you can choose some seed pods, you can choose some leaves, you can choose some pretty flowers. I'm just showing you how you could do it. This is how I'm going to leave mine, just like this. No extras. I think it looks good just like this. And this is how I'm going to use it. These are my craft supplies. I'm going to put them on my crafting table and just add a couple of tools that I use regularly. Look at that. Isn't that cute? You can make this as a gift for someone too. Give a fellow crafter a gift and put them some tools in one of these. Okay, so here we go with the next one. This is a little metal house from Dollar Tree. And we're going to fix her up. I'm just using my pumpkin for the last project. I'm putting it under there just to support it while I am working on it. It's a very highly reflective surface. So I want to be sure I can see what I'm doing. The camera lights will give a glare, as you can see there to the right. And my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. So I've chosen this Hello Autumn to go on the house, trimmed it down. I'm going to pull the backing off. Place it down carefully where I want it to be. And then hold it down. And then this time I'm using a different tool. This is a little wooden tool. I do not know what this is. If you do, let me know. I got it at Goodwill. I thought it was cute and I thought it could be used for this exact thing. So after it is put down, you can just peel this up. And I will tell you that using it on the metal seemed to work better for me than any other way. It worked quicker. It stuck down better, in other words. So here's some options for you. You could trim it out with a little bit of ribbon on the bottom, on the top if you would like. You can use some of these pumpkins, just, you know, cut them in half, stick them on there. You could use some pine cones. But I'm going to put a little wreath on there, and I'm going to make my own wreath with some of this rope. So I'm going to fold it over. I know how big I want it to be because I measured on the top, kind of looked at it. I'm going to squeeze it together. I'm going to hold it there for a minute now. I edited that part out so you wouldn't be bored. Then I'm going to use my cutters and just cut off the excess at a slant. So when I add some hot glue, I can roll it down on itself to make a nice circle. So I'm just adding that to the little ends before they fray. Using my finger protectors. These came with my Monvic glue gun. Okay, so there you go. And then I'm going to find its placement on the top. And I think I want to add a little ribbon and a flower to this. Same bow, y'all, same process. I hope I'm not boring y'all with this, but it's the same process. I wanted these videos, this particular video and these projects to be on the simple side. And y'all, these would be great on a tiered tray. If you have ones that have a lot of space between the layers, I think these would be so precious, even on a coffee bar or something like that, because they're small. You know, they would look great in a china cabinet. Layer it up with some dishes underneath, some white dishes, would be so pretty. How would you use these smaller projects? Where would you put them in your decor? Okay, gonna use a little hot glue so that I can put it down on my little house. And remember, metal gets very hot with hot glue, so just be careful. All right, and I'm gonna add my little bow to the top. Now I can put the flower down. And I think I'm gonna put it in the middle. Yep, she's right there in the middle. So there you go. That one is complete. Next project. I'm just getting another piece of paper to go with my happy fall, y'all. And I think I like this one. I'm going to trace it. You can see I had already done a project on that pumpkin before. And I'm recycling it. I'm going to cut this one out. Same thing. Once I get the right size, I'm going to glue it down. Same thing. Okay, y'all, so we're pressing it down and we're going to take our sanding block and we're going to sand away all those little edges. This is going to make it nice and crisp. I had already painted my edges, so you can go ahead and do yours if you would like. Now for placement, I think I'm going to slide it down like this so it's in the part of the pattern that is not quite so busy. It will stand out just a little bit more. So right here will work. Okay, now I'm holding it down again. Always keep one hand on there, and then I'm just rubbing this on really firmly, and there you go. This is how this one is going to look. I'm going to take some of this wire jute, and we're going to make a little tendril for the top, a little curly, pumpkin curly. This is one I had in the past, and I'm going to use it again on here. I've done these in other videos, so you can see how that you do those. Little hot glue around the stem, which by the way I did sand also. It was brown and I sanded it to make it look a little more rustic. Then I'm going to press that down in there and just kind of work with that tendril a little bit, a little vine. And I'm going to use one of these leaves that came from the thrift store, put it right on top. I think that color, that wine color, looks great with that. What do you think? That is so simple. So I just wanted to show you I did complete that project. Painted the back. This is our Hello Autumn house with the little wreath. Here's our last project, the Happy Fall, y'all. Here's our shaker box, Grateful, Thankful, and Blessed. Pumpkin spice and everything nice, reversible tool caddy, if you will. And if you're enjoying my projects and videos, give me a big thumbs up. I surely do appreciate it.
So this Goodwill pallet sign and the frame there both came from Goodwill. The pumpkin is missing a stem. We're going to fix that later. All right, so that's just a picture frame there. And then this is a card, a really pretty card I got from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take this frame apart, remove the backing and the glass. Now the pallet frame or the pallet pumpkin underneath has some raised levels, so there's some areas on the right side that don't have a raised spot. This is not damaged, it's actually made this way. We're going to make up for that in just a minute. Because if you don't seat it down there correctly, it's going to wobble. So we're going to use a combination of the Dollar Tree Fix-All glue and some Gorilla hot glue on this project also. I'm going to use 2 popsicle sticks. That seems to be the right width of space between the edge of that frame and the pumpkin underneath. So again, we're going to make it level by putting these together. So I'm going to use some of the Fix-All and some hot glue to do this. Probably not necessary to use the Fix-All, but there's a little weight to that frame and I don't want anything falling off once I get it put together. So just be on the safe side. Glue pretty quickly and then the Fix-All will have a better hold, a longer hold. All right, so I've got it ready and stable. And I'm just going to place it down where I want it. I want to put it a little bit lower down, not in the center. Okay, so I'm just going to use the envelope that came with that pretty card up there and just traced it out on a piece of cardboard that came out of a calendar that I bought from Dollar Tree. See where I'm going with that? It's tape, but I decided to use the glue stick from Dollar Tree. It works well. Alrighty, so I centered it so it's framed out just a little bit, and I'm going to just run a bead of hot glue down the high points of that picket and place it down there. So now it won't look like a frame anymore, it's just going to look like a picket fence with a pretty sign on it. And in case you're wondering, those are wheat stems on the thankful card. Now I'm going to pull the stand off the back of that picture frame from before, and that is going to be our stem. Isn't that perfect? Okay, so what you can't see because I'm out of the screen is me wrapping some jute around the top of there to finish off that stem. It's actually not jute, it's that rope looking, looks like rope. It's in the harvest section, but it's stretchy. I don't have the packaging to show you that because I took it out of the packaging, but you can use jute, it'll do the same thing. And I'm going to let that dry. In the meantime, I'm picking out some ribbon to make a bow. This is going to be kind of a small bow, a little petite bow. It's really pretty. I think it looks like it came from maybe Walmart, the ribbon, but I actually got it from Goodwill. So I've also went ahead and dovetailed the ends of those ribbons. And now I'm just making another one of those little bows. I believe it's called a funky bow. And you can refer to other videos when I don't get in the camera. But anyway, I'm folding them completely in half, finding the middle of the section, pinching it, and then holding it between my thumb and my first finger. I'm just holding it in my hand. So all the loops are up and all the little dovetailed ears are down. And I'm going to take a handy dandy zip tie. I love these things. They also come from the Dollar Tree. And you can buy these white ones, and you can buy a pack of, I think they're black and red, and they're smaller. So whatever you prefer. You probably get more in the package of smaller ones. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, I'm just going to tighten that up because I know I'm going to be pulling on it a good bit to fluff it. You know me and my fluffing. Cut that end off and then start laying that bow out. Now nothing goes to the bottom. This is like a pancake. Like if you're looking from above down, you're going to see all the little ends sticking around where all the little folded pieces are. So all the little ears and all the little tails will all be fluffed out. Kind of like a flower, I guess. And it's going to allow you to have a flat spot on the bottom. Be sure that you turn all of your decorative sides upward. Okay, so that looks good. And I've had plenty of time for that to dry. And this is where I'm going to put my pretty little bow. Gives you a good space to put some glue so you can glue it flat down on your surface. No need to tie it or secure it in any other way. Alright, so I'm just going to press and hold that down and make sure that it gets all around that raised level and that the glue gets through the fabric of that ribbon to hold it in place. Alright, and so finishing touches, I thought that it could use some leaves up there on the top. Pumpkins have leaves, so we're going to give our pumpkin some leaves. Little glue on there, tuck it under the bow, and that is that. The stressed picket fence pumpkin thankful sign. Yeah.
So for project number 1, I'm using paint stir. Now what I'm doing is making a fence or I am making a gate, like a garden gate. So I'm using these paint stirrers and I am marking those down to give it the look of a gate or a fence panel. Just using my pencil and marking those on there, and then you can use whatever cutting device you want to use. My wood does split a little bit cutting it this way, but it goes right back together and you can't even tell that it has any damage. So I'm going to clean up my edges as much as possible, and then I'm going to use my sanding block to just smooth out any of the little splintered ends. You're just going to rub it back and forth and just kind of rock it side to side to round the corners just a little bit. Perfect. I'm going to do the same thing with this one, because these are our supports. One is going to go on the top to cover up the little grooves, and then one, of course, on the bottom, just like you would see if you were walking down the road in the country and you see a little picket fence beside you. All right, I'm going to take some wipes now and some of my antiquing wax, and I'm going to stain each one of these. You can leave it bare if you like that color, but I wanted to make mine look a little bit darker. You could even paint these white if you like Farmhouse, or if you want a white picket fence. This is real easy to do. You don't have to use a paintbrush. You just go around your planks. I'm going to do all the sides and the ends as well. And then, so we got our support pieces done. Now we're going to do each one of our little pickets. Going to keep turning that cloth, and then add some more if you need to add some more, just like I'm doing. Rub it in really good so you don't have a chunk of paint in one spot. You want to have even distribution of your color, so that's what I'm doing. I'm just initially laying it on each one of these. You can see it really brings out the texture in that wood, so I like that. I like a rustic look, and to see that in that wood just really brings my heart a little bit of joy. It's the simple things, right? It is the simple things. Okay, once they are dry, this is how they look. They will lighten up just a little bit. And we're going to reassemble our fence or our gate to look like so. Simple. I'm going to use a little bit of wood glue and just a little stick that I have over here. This is just a little crafting little piece of wood. And I'm going to decide exactly where I want to put it and then how I'm going to put it down. So I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to start off by using some popsicle sticks to secure the back down. So here we go. Tongue depressors, popsicle sticks. You can use whatever size that you have, as long as they don't extend the sides and show. You don't want them to show. I'm going to use a little hot glue here and cover these up. Now it doesn't go all the way down to the last plank, but that won't matter because we're going to overlap it. Again, this is the back. Nobody's going to see it. It's going to be ideally against a wall, but if it's something that you wanted to hang maybe on a glass door or something like that, you might consider covering this with some craft paper so you don't see all of the hardware that we're putting on the back to hold it together. Okay, so now it is together very nicely, very securely. We've got it flipped over. Now is when we're going to use our wood glue. We're going to use a little wood glue for a long, sturdy fix, and we're going to use a little bit of hot glue on there also to make it work quickly. You can certainly just use the hot glue if you don't want to use, if you don't want to fool with this, or you could just use the wood glue and clamp it down and let it dry. So little here, put the hot glue down last because it dries fastest. There we go. That can be clamped in place, especially if you have one of those planks that wants to kind of bow out. I ordered my paint stirrers from Amazon in a large pack for more projects. There you go. Bam, covered up. Okay, now we're going to pretty it up. Look at these gorgeous gold pieces of greenery, or what we call those goldery. They're going to go up top. I'm going to add a little bit of orange to it because I love orange and rust colors in the fall. A little thrifted pumpkin and this thrifted sign. The sign probably came from Hobby Lobby, something like that maybe. And I'm just trying to decide what I want to go on the top, which pumpkins I want to use. You do the same thing and choose whatever you like. I'm going to use a piece of this garland from Dollar Tree. and just pick off the ones that match. You can see here that I'm looking to see what colors I want to use. I'm going to take the hardware off the back of this little box sign, because if you leave it on there, it won't lay flush against your little gate or fence. And we want to be sure that that glue has nice flat surfaces to adhere to so they don't come apart. I'm going to add some hot glue on the borders here on the back. Dollar Tree has beautiful little box signs like this that you could certainly use. You could use something thrifted, or maybe something you used last year. You can repurpose it. Okay, so these greenery pieces, or goldery pieces, they are on wire and they're easily flexed into the position that we like. You do not have to leave your picks in the way that they came from the store. You can bend them and flex them to your desired result. So this is so simple. I'm going to put one gold on one side, one on the other, one orange on one side, one on the other, and then I'm just going to use a little tie here to tie it off. You can use a pipe cleaner, you can use wire, you can use whatever you like to go in the center of yours. Clip off your excess, and there's the start of your swag for the top of this little garden gate or fence piece. Here I am cutting off, and really honestly, this is so thin, the plastic that holds it on, you could probably just pull these off. You can put a couple of pieces together here and there. I do this a lot on my projects, kind of layering the greenery. That's easy. So we're going to start by going to the top, and we're going to glue that down. A clamp is going to be your best friend in the circumstance, because your wires will try to flex away from your surface, and you want that glue to have a chance to harden before you move away from that part. Now there's some glue under there, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. And don't glue your clamp down. I'm going to add my greenery over there. And I'm going to take this cute little pumpkin and my craft knife, and I'm going to shave about a third of it off so that it will lay flat against my project. Okay, then you're going to add some glue and press this down on there. I'm going to press it into my leaves and in the little space that is between the leaves on the board so that nothing is loose and flying away. For these little white pumpkins, I didn't have any picks, and I'm going to make some out of some leftover greenery stems that I had. I have some extra little bits of this, I don't know if you would call this like seeded grass maybe. I'm just going to add those pieces in there, here and there. Once is never enough for me. If you've watched my videos, you know I'm constantly going back and adding things here and there. I like to do what feels right, so I just keep kind of fooling with it. I kind of go off into my own little zone and keep working until something just feels right. I think this is going to fit nicely into a rustic home, maybe a little bit cottagey, maybe a little bit farmhousey. And I would almost say with the gold on there, maybe a little bit rustic glam. What do you think? Could this pass as rustic glam? It might. Okay, so I've just added that other little pumpkin, and because now there's a space, I'm going to add one more leaf just to fill it in. I don't want to cover up my words because the sign is really pretty. It's got gold accents and gold writing. It's really pretty. Okay, so far the swag is looking good. Now I want to add one more thing. Look what I found at the thrift store. It's a tiny spindle. I don't know what it came from, but it was all by itself. And then I thought, hey, I bet some of these wood beads I have will fit. And look there, they fit perfectly. And they hold that up away from the little piece of wood or tongue depressor or a paint stir underneath there. So there's a little gap. You can make a ribbon bow, you could put a little tea towel, you could put anything right there. What do you think about this project? Oh my gosh, I'm so tickled with this. You're going to want to flip it over and put any type of hanger of your choice on the back. Okay, for my third and final project, I have a ladder project. Okay, this is going to be like a pumpkin garden ladder. Let's call it that. Right now you can see me trying to get my placement, and then here I'm doing the same cutting method as I used before. I'm going to take my sandpaper, I've just overlaid a rougher grit, and I'm going to just rock that back and forth and then move it side to side until I get that nice and smooth. See there? I'm going to do that until it is perfectly smooth. I don't want any cut fingers or splinters anywhere. And I want it to look like it was intended to be this way, not like it was a paint stirrer in a previous life. This time we won't be staining or painting it. I'm going to leave it the exact same color that it is. Okay, so we're going to start figuring out where we want the rungs on our ladder. And I'm going to start putting down some glue. A stripe of wood glue, a stripe of hot glue. One for strong hold and one for permanent, well, one for a quick hold, let's put it that way. Okay, same here. And we're gonna do this down on the bottom too. I'm out of the camera, so you can't really see what I'm doing on the bottom, but I promise you I'm going to do that. Clean up if you get any excess glue, like I do all the time. Just get you a little pick or something and just wipe that right off. If you do it while it's still wet, it'll come off and you'll barely notice. Now I'm using these little weights again to hold those down until they get a good grip on each other. So here's our ladder. Cute. Cute little ladder. And I'm going to use this. This came out of a book that came from Dollar General. Whimsical lettering. Here is the code. And I'm just going to use, I like the happy place sign, so I'm going to make a little sign for this project with this. This is an option if you don't have a Cricut, if you don't want a freehand lettering, and you don't have a printer. Get one of these cute books. I'm going to put this little chalkboard looking sign on this scrap of wood that I already had. Came off another project, probably something from Dollar Tree. And it needs to be cleaned up just a bit. So I'm going to just knock the splinters off the edges here and clean that up. Simple, simple. And then I'm going to decide how I want this. Once I lay it down, I'm just going to bend it so that I know where my borders are going to be. And I know exactly how I want to place it on that piece of wood. Just running a crease down there. Okay. Now you can just take a glue stick, which is what I'm using there on the bottom. There we go. And just covering it side to side, and be sure that you get the corners and all the edges really well. Place that down, and now you can trim off what you don't want on there, or you can use a sanding block and get it off. I'm using my little wallpaper tool to press it down. And then you can see how easily it comes off with the sandpaper. You get a nice crisp edge that looks like it was supposed to be there all along. Plus it's going to match up with my other piece, that the black sign that I did, the garden gate. It's going to have that same little white edge as the black sign that we did. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to start making this ladder look like it has been leaned up against the side of a barn, and we have some beautiful fall weeds growing up through it. So I'm just going to wrap this around the back of my ladder. I'm going to glue it down. I'm going to take some more pieces of scrap greenery that I have. Here's some more, some little flowers, and then this beautiful pumpkin. Pull him off the pick, and I'm going to start gluing down. Put a little glue across that stem. A little bit of paper will help hold that in place back there, make it look nice and neat. And then, because these are on wires, I'm going to twist these around just like a pumpkin vine grows and clings as it stretches out. That's what I'm gonna do with this weeds. Like the ladder's been there since the 40s, and we've got some beautiful greenery growing up through it. You can just twist those around, give them a little hot glue support where it's needed. I'm making a mess. And you just want to press that down so that the wire doesn't pull away, and then once it's set up a little bit, then you can move on and twist it another way. And that's what you see me doing here. Just making it look wild and making it look like it would if it was all on its lonesome for years. What do you think? Isn't that cute? I love this. And it's very cottagey looking as well, I think, this particular project. Okay. Alright, so I want to put my happy place sign right on the top. Just going to clamp it down while I continue to work with the rest of it so nothing comes loose. Now I know that I want to use this pumpkin here, and I think I can use this pumpkin as a stand to hold the ladder up so that it will be freestanding on its own. So you're just going to see me using my craft knife again, or my utility knife. These come in a 3-pack. You can get them at Dollar Tree. I recommend them, highly recommend them. They slice through just like butter. Foam board, whatever it is you're cutting. Okay, so I've cut out enough room, as you can see there, where the leg of the ladder will fit right through it. And look, it stands on its own. Y'all, Walmart has some really nice pumpkins and gourds out right now too, so if you're not finding what you like at Dollar Tree, Walmart's prices are comparable and the quality is fantastic. Mine, of course, was thrifted. But I've been watching, I've been keeping an eye out for y'all. We want to do affordable, yet high-end looking crafts for our home. I'm going to add some of these little weedy flowers here and there, adding my greenery here and there. I like to use a variety of greenery so that it does look like it's growing in the wild. I think that's part of the cottage aesthetic, to make it look like, you know, you're walking out in a garden, you're walking out on a country road and you're seeing all the beauty. And we don't want things just growing straight up. Let's do some to the side. Let's layer it. You know, do it like God did it. Do it like you see out in the wild. And I'm still adding here and there until I get it exactly where I look at it and say, yeah, okay, this is good. I want to add one more little thing, and I'm adding just a scrap piece of string that I have tied into a bow, just a simple bow, and I'm adding it right on the edge of the sign on the top. And I think because it looks like rope, more like rope than my other jute and other cording, so I think that this looks really nice. I think it fits well with the project. And this is how it turned out. This just might be my favorite one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you again real soon. Bye.